Hello there. Welcome to Breakfast All Day. I'm Christy. That is Alonso. Matt exists in the ether. We are talking about Rebecca, which I guess is a remake of Rebecca. It's also yet another version of Rebecca.
I was one of the million adaptations of this novel.
So many. This is not the best one.
No,
Alonso will describe it.
Not by a long shot. So Ben Wheatley takes this away. Lily James stars as the unnamed woman who becomes the second Mrs. De Winter. She meets tormented widow Armie Hammer in Monte Carlo, where she is working as a subservient lady's companion. He marries her and whisks her off to his beautiful mansion, Manderley. But of course, there she has to contend with the figurative and maybe literal ghost of his first wife, Rebecca, whom everybody can't stop talking about and comparing her to, particularly the housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers, played here by Kristin Scott Thomas. And then when Rebecca's body surfaces, we come to find out that perhaps the widow had something to do with her demise, and maybe their relationship was not as rosy as everyone once thought. Alfred Hitchcock originally adapted the Daphne du Maurier novel back in 1940. It was his one Best Picture nomination.
It won Best Picture.
Oh, you're sorry. His one Best Picture win, rather.
He didn't win, but the movie won.
David Selznick did. But yeah, the movie won, and this one doesn't really ever quite justify its existence, except that it can get away with a few things that the censors wouldn't allow Hitchcock to talk about.
That's true. It is true to the Daphne du Maurier gothic romance in the way that the Rebecca death plays out, which they couldn't do in 1940 because of the Hays Code. They had to make Laurence Olivier's De Winter seem less culpable, less actively culpable for her death.
And her relationship with her cousin.
Right. They spell that out. More here. Yes.
For everybody in the back.
So I don't understand why this needs to exist. First of all, it doesn't get what makes this story so gripping. There's no suspense to this. And it's the exact same running time as the 1940 Rebecca. It's almost 2 hours long.
Wow.
But it seems to be rushing to cram more in. And it spells so much out. It's so brisk. And it's so oversimplified, and yet it spells so much out in terms of what people are thinking and feeling and what their fears are and what Mrs. De Winter's paranoia is. I mean, and there's in the Hitchcock version, because he's Hitchcock, there's like a steadily creeping and just suffocating sense of dread.
Yeah.
And so when you get to the scene where the party, the masquerade balls has happened and it goes horribly wrong, and Mrs. Danvers has tricked her into wearing this dress that's going to trigger all of De Winter's grief and mourning. In the Hitchcock version, it's so quiet and so stealthy, the way Mrs. Danvers just kind of comes up on her in the window and suggests that just jump, it's not that far down. It's no big deal. And again, this is nothing on Kristin Scott Thomas, who is by far the best part of this film.
Yeah, she's trying to humanize the character, and you could argue whether or not that's a good idea, but she's doing something interesting at least.
Yeah, it's just, again, like that feels like, everything feels too quick. The clothes are great. The scenery is lush. You want to see gorgeous people frolicking on, on the coastline of Monte Carlo, and the wind in their hair.
This is the Rebecca for like Downton Abbey fans, like, because they really they go full bore on the art direction and the set design and the period detail, all the tea sets and whatnot.
And they do more of the upstairs downstairs than they do in the Hitchcock version.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and Armie Hammer, like I said in my review in TheWrap, wears a mustard suit that's going to make a lot of men foolishly think that yellow is their color, because he can pull it off, but trust me, most of us cannot. Angie Han had a great tweet today where she said, having a Rebecca where the central couple is, or the central relationship is loving and healthy, is like having a high rise where it's a 2-story building when everyone has equal access to services. It kind of misses. You're right. It misses the point in a lot of ways. And I did enjoy Ann Dowd as the super vulgar American that she works for. She's gone after the first 10 minutes.
That's very good casting.
Yeah, but it's just, Yeah, it's sort of like, what's the point? I mean, for some reason, the Hitchcock version is not streaming anywhere, but you can get a beautiful Criterion Blu-ray. And I would recommend, if you've never seen any Rebecca, do watch the Hitchcock one. It's really
good. I watched it on streaming.
Yeah.
Through Roku. I watched both of them in the same day on Wednesday. Yeah, there's a channel called TV Time, and you got to watch with commercials. But when I looked for it through Roku, that's the only place I found it.
Interesting.
It's just a channel that you add to your Roku TV Time. The logo is green, kind of retro. And I had to sit through a ton of the same 2 commercials over and over again for the no on Prop 23, the dialysis proposition on the ballot. But that I had never seen the original Rebecca, and I felt it was crucial to do so before watching the new one.
We bought a copy so Dave could watch it. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So and Armie Hammer, he's got the right kind of dashing aristocratic presence for this kind of movie, or for this kind of character rather. But like, as good of an actor as he is, he's not Laurence Olivier.
No, although Laurence, it's not Olivier's best work either.
But he's chilling. Like when the reveal happens as to what truly went down with Rebecca, what the truth is of that relationship, that whole scene in the little cottage by the beach is absolutely chilling. And the multitude of conflicting emotions that you think Rebecca must be feeling in that scene, like you don't get. Like they're too happy. Like it's too safe. The ending is really safe and pat the way it wraps things up.
It's really telling.
Go ahead.
I would say we barely mentioned Lily James, and I think part of the problem is Joan Fontaine in the original, she does there is a transformation from mousy little non-entity to woman thrown into this thing. Like Lily James always looks like Lily James and comports herself like Lily James, so you don't believe her as this people being mean to her and sort of overlooking her. It's like, no, she's Lily James.
She's asserting herself early on, even as the companion to Anne Dowd, and there isn't the self-conscious kind of skittishness that made the Joan Fontaine character so much more believable as far as how ill-suited she was for the grandeur and the responsibility of this life.
Right.
It's all surface. It's all superficial trappings, and it looks lovely. It's very lush. But I don't know why Ben Wheatley wanted to make this. I mean, his films are more overtly in your face and trying to startle you.
Yeah, right? I'm not a fan, but I know his stuff enough to know that this doesn't fit in what he usually does. And I think if he had brought that aesthetic and that sort of his filmmaking philosophy to this, that could have been interesting, and it would have felt at least different from the other sort of stately Rebeccas we've seen over the years. But this is just it's in color.
And boy, is it.
Yes.
So I'm saying 3.
I said 5.5. It doesn't quite get to the place of good movie for me, but like I said, I enjoyed Anne Dowd. I did think that if you're gonna do it lush period, this is lush period, but ultimately it's kind of irrelevant.
Our numbers are 4.3. It is on Netflix now if you are a Rebecca completist.
It is indeed. There's an opera if you're a completist, I found out in looking at the wiki page. So thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and do check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay, wrapping up our recaps of the Vow and Lovecraft Country. Lots more exciting stuff ahead. So don't miss that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.